Hello, we're back. Welcome to the latest episode of Yahoo Footballing Weekly with me, author and Yahoo columnist Neil Humphreys.
And Yahoo editor Chia Keong. We're back after 2 weeks and we still don't have a guest here.
Well, we do and we don't. We do have a guest and it's a very special guest. We're happy to announce that.
EPL record holder, okay? Premier League record holder. Oldest goal scorer ever, okay?
In the Premier League?
In the Premier League.
Who is it? Okay, we'll tell you. It's Teddy Sheringham. We're very pleased to say we met him last night at the time we're recording this. Lovely guy, very down to earth. It's a fantastic interview. That'll be coming up with him just shortly. We'll be talking to him just shortly. But we've got to get into the comments we had over the last 2 weeks.
We start with the comments.
Must thank you again. Loads of comments coming in on all of our platforms. Thank you so much indeed. Let's get into it. Keong, what have we got first?
Right. So we talked about women's football and the poor conditions of the Yio Chu Kang Stadium, which they played in. So naturally, a lot of readers came in. Some of them are sympathetic, but this one says, S-League teams already barely got funding. You expect the women's team to get money, to get logistic? Come on lah. I mean, It's not say that you at least you must do the bare minimum, right? Get a showering, changing room in place.
Yeah.
And then, at least make the pitch decent.
Correct.
And have a dugout. This is not asking much. It's not asking much, no.
We are not asking for them to be pulled out on horse-drawn chariots.
Yeah.
People throwing down rose petals for the girls. Give them a changing room.
A changing room, bare minimum.
I said it before, I'll say it again. My nephew plays in the UK, 7, 8, 9 years old. Yeah. They have their own changing rooms.
Precisely.
These are supposed to be professional women, a professional league with a sponsor paying $300,000 a year. Mm-hmm. The very least we can give them, Keong, is a bloody dressing room, right? I mean, is that so much to ask for?
No, it's not much to ask for. And it's just one stadium. It's not like every stadium. They all play in just one stadium. You tell me you can't get a dressing room for one stadium?
S-League teams, I'm reading the quote again, S-League teams already barely got funding. You expect the women's team to get dollars. I don't like this false equivalence, this either or thing. No. Just because of this, you cannot expect that.
Yeah.
Well, just because I had a crap day yesterday doesn't mean I should have a crap day tomorrow. Yeah. You can get better. You can improve.
Doesn't mean that I need to have a crap day as well.
Because I had one
as well.
That's exactly right. We had a good day yesterday. We met Teddy Sheringham.
And you must have a good day too.
You should. No, I can't. I mean, I understand the sentiment. The answer is not because this side is no good, this side must also be no good. The answer should be make both sides good.
Yes.
Give them a bloody dressing room, for heaven's sake.
Give them funding if you want to. Ask for funding.
I cannot believe we are sitting here in Singapore, first world nation. I keep reading the newspapers. They keep telling us how rich we are, apparently, in Singapore. And we're talking about dressing rooms.
Yeah.
Give me a break.
Oh, come on.
Bare minimum.
Yeah.
A dressing room for a professional women's league is not too much to ask for. What else do we get?
Well, we also talk about the Young Lions. I mean, whether we should disband them, let them move on to other clubs. So one guy, Stanley Wong, said, well, we just need more local clubs, simple. I think what he means is that, if you have more clubs, the youngsters can be spread out more to the things, and then you don't need somebody like a Young Lions to be like a training ground for the youngsters. But again, if every club is supposed to be run on their own, and you don't know whether having more clubs, you are spreading the things too thinly for the league. I think
we've been down this road before.
No,
when the S-League, now Singapore Premier League, expanded too much too quickly, got a bit too excited. Really, I said from the very beginning, we should have had half a dozen, no more than that, half a dozen core teams, right? North, south, east, west. And then the two government teams then, the armed forces and what was then Home United.
Right.
A team in Woodlands, a team Westy, kind of Clementi way, Tampines on the east. Tampines east, Clementi west, Tanjong Pagar south, Woodlands north, and then a couple of other teams. Yeah. Then you build from the bottom up. Then you build an affiliation to your community, to your local stadium, to your team. In the last few years, it's been too ad hoc. Team here, team there, one comes, one goes. We can't keep doing that.
Well, to be honest,
it's stabilised now.
It's stabilised, right? Yeah, it's stabilised a bit.
But my next point is we should have more teams. I agree with your point. We barely have enough talent. It's like you've got hardly any butter left and you're spreading it to all the four corners of the bread. Yeah. We barely have enough to cover now.
Exactly. And now if you're asking to get the youngsters to spread out again, I think everything will eventually be spread too thin.
Yeah.
And then fans will be spread thinly as well. And then, you can't get your support anyway. So I don't think bringing more clubs in is the answer.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that the young Lions have overstayed their welcome, sort of. You need to find a way to bring in more, get these players to play more, to play as many as they did before, but not with the young Lions.
Yeah. We said in a previous podcast, the young Lions were set up in an environment that no longer exists.
Yeah.
There's too much foreign competition now, which is no bad thing because young local players take part in those teams as well. Yeah. Albirex and, of course, Lion City Sailors, privately funded. So the goalposts have changed. It's much more competitive now in the Singapore Premier League. That's a good thing. Mm-hmm. And the issue is not more clubs. The issue is the pathway. We're building from the bottom up. I know they've started the Unleash the Raw. There are more school academies now. That's the way forward. But it does take time. And we need that one thing that Singaporeans are not renowned for, which is patience. If we're still having this conversation in 3 years, after the school's academy, after Unleash the Raw, that's a problem.
That's a problem.
But starting more clubs now, when you don't have the players to fill them,
it's not a way to go.
It's counterproductive. I don't see the point.
No.
Quality rather than quantity, like this podcast. What else do we get? Graham Potter. Tao says, put yourself in Graham Potter's shoes. He's, of course, the new Chelsea manager. It is impossible to turn down a contract of 10 million a season managing one of the top clubs in Europe. Tao, I don't disagree. I mean, you and I, we don't get 10 million for this. Yeah. Jay, our director, sitting over there, pretending to listen.
We get $10.
He doesn't get 10 million for this. So, of course, no one's disputing the money. He never needs to work again. His kids, his grandparents. Grandparents? Grandkids. And grandparents, if they're still alive, Mr. Potter. We wish them well.
Yeah.
We wish all of his family well with your 10 million pounds.
Harry Potter's at home.
Yeah, exactly. He's got Harry Potter as well.
Yeah.
So,
but,
10 million,
getting into the environment, yes. I mean, as a manager, you want your owner to have patience in your team building. You want to put your ideas across, and that will be the ideal environment you want to work in.
Yep.
And it's difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but in Chelsea, you have an owner who is now, I don't think he's a patient kind. He's like Tuchel with just like matches into
He's a frat bro, billionaire, American investor in his jeans and his sunglasses. He's like a Top Gun maverick investor, hedge fund guru.
Yeah.
Not a football club owner.
Yeah, reminds you of anybody?
Let's see what happens. Yeah, I'm not convinced.
So I mean, yes, money is good, but you obviously you want your own aspirations. You have your own career aspirations. That's just like anybody, and Potter does that also. And
look, no disrespect to Potter, 10 million, who are we to criticise? We're not criticising him, of course. From a career standpoint, it's a step up. Yep. Chelsea are a much bigger club, much bigger budget. But he knows as soon as you sign the contract at Chelsea, you are one step closer to the sack from the day you sign it. And that's the only sad point about all of this, because it can be a bit of a graveyard for up-and-coming managers. I mean, you think of Lampard, going further back, Villas-Boas,
Scolari.
There was a few. He wasn't a young man, but it can be a killer of reputations. So I hope he does well, but I just thought he was such a good, enterprising, thoughtful, methodical manager at Brighton.
How about this? If he had joined any other of the top 6 clubs, we will say it's a great step forward.
Good point.
It's just that he joined Chelsea.
Good point. Except Man U.
Man U.
No.
But come on. Even Man U is... I think Man U will be more patient.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you join Arsenal, Liverpool, Man City or Spurs, we'll say wonderful career move. But it's Chelsea, we always have that doubt.
Yeah. Well, let us know what you think on all the usual places. Now, World Cup absurdity number 1. Now, Keong, my partner in crime, very unhappy this week about these 2 World Cup issues. Tell us about the first one.
Okay, so I mean, for now this international week we got no EPL football, so we always talk about one pointless Nations League. Already makes the whole thing pretty absurd that this Nation League is still going on, and then I mean, the hosting of this World Cup in Qatar has already been contentious ever since we started. They were given that hosting rights. You talk about the bidding process already a bit dodgy.
Bidding process, the human rights issues, building stadia, workers dying,
and then you got to switch from June to November
to the winter. Then you got the LGBT rules,
and then now it becomes so absurd already. All the rules, all the people trying to appease the fans and say, "Oh, we will sell you beer, but not during the match.
You can hold hands, but only during the tournament.
Yeah, you can kiss. We won't fine you. We won't catch you.
Yeah.
If you fight because you're drunk, we won't catch you." It's become so absurd. It's like all this kind of. I mean, why are you telling us this? You mean actually we couldn't do this, and then you had to say.
It sounds like the dullest, most tedious, most oppressive, most uninteresting World Cup from a fan's perspective in history. I mean, someone asked me the other day, my stepfather, he said to me, "Are you going to the World Cup?" I said no, and I genuinely would not want to. I was lucky enough to go to Brazil. I went to the Euros in France and Portugal for work. I have no interest whatsoever in going to Qatar. And I don't care what Gary Neville says, and I don't care what David Beckham says. I know he's on the payroll. Eric Cantona is my new hero because Eric Cantona came out just today as we're recording this and saying, "I want nothing to do with the Qatar World Cup. I don't want to be sponsored.
He's boycotting it.
I don't want to see it. I don't want to be paid for it. I don't want to go there." And I'm very disappointed in my former teammates like Beckham for essentially taking the Qatari dollars. What do you think? I mean, it's a very controversial incident or viewpoint, but that's the thing about Cantona, man. He doesn't back down. When he has a view, he sticks with it. I admire him for that.
And then, as if that this is not absurd enough, we have more absurdity.
This one really bothers him.
Really
Now be prepared. Okay. This one really upsets him.
Okay, I understand Gareth Southgate is not the most popular manager right now among England fans. It's too conservative, makes contentious decisions like dropping Alexander-Arnold, keeping Harry Maguire. Obviously, we can have time to debate it, fine. But I'm finding my own Singaporean friends, Singaporean football fans, getting worked up over Southgate dropping Alexander-Arnold, Southgate keeping Harry Maguire. They're like saying, "Oh, Southgate is stupid. Harry Maguire doesn't even deserve a place in the England squad. Alexander is being disrespected." Almost like, wow, they are England. They're born in England.
Yeah. I know. It's absurd. I'm going to get to it. I agree with you, and I'm going to tell you why shortly. But before I do, just playing devil's advocate, how is that different than following the Formula One, which also has no Singapore representation? You prefer Verstappen or Hamilton
it's being held here.
Oh yeah, okay. No, I'll give you that. That is a fair point. But generally, you hear Singaporeans say, "I love Hamilton. I don't like Verstappen." So how is it different?
I mean, well, because you. No, I'm stuck. But anyway, if you are taking Formula One. Because it's held here, people sometimes,
there's a local connection.
It's a local connection. There's some connection to it. Fair enough. Premier League, there's some connection with the England team that you are familiar with the players. They play. You know how they play and how, in your mind, your football manager mind, how you should deploy the players for the England team. But it doesn't concern you as a national. Singapore national, or even not even Singapore national, Malaysian national.
He's going to start waving the flag in a minute. Be careful. He's going to start singing Majula Singapore in a minute. Yeah, no, but I'm just kidding. I agree with your point. I do. I agree with your point. I've said it many, many years. Everybody knows the kinship from Singapore to English football goes back decades, generations. Goes way back to the black and white days of Super Soccer, I think it was called, showed on Saturday night.
Big League Soccer.
The days of the big match, 1970s, right? So I know there's a kinship. Of course there is. It's the shared language. So of course it has an advantage over Spanish football, Italian football, and so on. So the club aspect, I have no issue. Man U, Liverpool, whatever. When it translates into an international level, I agree. It becomes more problematic. And when people say, "Oh, what do we need to do about local football to fix this and to fix that?" Job number one, if you took as much interest in your Lions as you did in the Three Lions...
That is what I'm going to say.
Right? We wouldn't be having this conversation because...
Singapore played last week. Did you know that?
They played twice.
They played twice.
They played twice. One
Same as England.
And yet they will be able to tell you why Maguire should be dropped, why Grealish should start, why he should have picked Jadon Sancho, why Alexander-Arnold should not have been dropped. They can tell you all of that, but they can't name you one player from the Lions lineup of Singapore.
And that's the problem. That is the problem. And that is the problem. I mean, you are so fervent over a national team which you are not a national player, you are not, which is not your nation. And then you ignore your own nation, and there's something inherently wrong about that.
Yeah. It's one thing, I've said this before, I had a problem when I used to see, not so much now, it has got better, but in 2001 when Man U played Singapore and they would boo Singapore and cheer Man U, that really upset me. But I'm not justifying it, but it was kind of club against country. But this is country against country.
Yeah.
And clearly you've got Singaporean fans who do prefer England and, as you say, are more interested and advocate for England more than they do their own nation. Yeah. That I struggle with. And to your point, it doesn't apply to me because I use my own example. World Cup, 1998. I'd only been in Singapore for 2 years. My new country, my adopted country was Singapore. Didn't really care about England at the World Cup. Hardly watched it. Michael Owen, all of that, Beckham. Hardly saw any of it live. But I saw every single minute of Singapore's 1998 Tiger Cup campaign in the first year, in the same year when they won
Blade of God,
Sasi Kuma.
Remember you, man.
Because it was my country now. I'm in Singapore. Yeah. So I agree with you. But let us know what you think. What do you think?
And don't tell me.
He's still going.
I'm sorry, I got to put this in. Don't tell me it's about betting. If England's lousy, just bet that they'll lose. Okay? Yeah. Don't say because of betting we hope that England are good. No. If England are good, bet they'll win. England are lousy, bet they don't lose.
One of the worst expressions in football parlance, football talk, which you hear in Australia and Singapore, must have an interest. You cannot just watch for fun. You must have an interest, right? You must put some money down. Then it becomes this. And that's why you follow England. Please, I don't see you talking about Brazil, Argentina, Spain, Germany, France in the same way you talk about England.
Don't talk to me about betting.
It's got nothing to do with betting. But we know what he thinks.
Rant over.
What do you think? Do Singaporeans care more about the England national team than the Singapore national team? Should young, female, professional footballers have their own changing rooms? I think the answer to that should be obvious. Yeah, obvious. But let us know your thoughts, your views, your opinions, and send them all to
Yahoo Southeast Asia on YouTube, Yahoo SG or Yahoo_MY on Twitter, and Yahoo SCA on TikTok. Look out for our clips there.
Beautiful. Now, this is what we've been looking forward to. Han Keong and I sat down with the man himself, Manchester United.
Legend.
Tottenham twice. West Ham United.
Colchester United.
The mighty Colchester, which we asked him about. And England scored in Euro 96 as part of what I believe is the best England team of my lifetime. That Euro 96 team was fabulous. He talks a little bit about that as well. Here's our chat with Teddy Sheringham. Enjoy. Hello, welcome to the Yahoo Footballing Weekly podcast, and I'm honoured to have Teddy Sheringham with us this week. Thanks for joining us, Teddy.
No problem.
We'll get straight into it. Antonio Conte, what's he doing at Tottenham that's going so well?
First and foremost, I think he's brought a discipline to the football club, determination that hasn't been seen for a few years, I don't think. He's got everybody on board, understanding exactly what he wants from his team, and they're performing. So his man management skills are very good, and his team management skills. I'm hearing grumblings that the Tottenham fans don't like the way they're playing at the moment, but hey-ho, they're up the top of the league, up the right part of the league, and long may that continue. And then hopefully then the flair will come a little bit later in the season.
Would you see yourself playing in a side like that with Conte's set up at Spurs?
Yeah, I don't see why not. Hard-working sides and organised sides are not the worst to play in. You know where you stand in a team like that, and you've still got flair players that are playing up front in Harry Kane and Son and Kulusevski and Richarlison's coming on and looking great. So it could be a lot worse, I know that.
Who would you rather play with, Harry Kane or Son Heung-min?
I wouldn't mind playing with either of them. I adore Harry Kane. I think he's the best centre forward in the world. I know there's a couple of others that are in that position as well, Benzema and Lewandowski, and Haaland, obviously. But Harry just does everything right the way I see it. He makes the right decisions at the right times. And I wouldn't mind playing up front with him. But Son's a fantastic player as well. I really like what he offers the team.
Well, your other team, Manchester United, I mean, they've started the season a bit shaky, but now they've gone on a good winning streak. And now, what do you think has gone right with Eric Ten Hag's management?
I wouldn't say what's gone right. I think he's got a really tough job of getting a consistent level of performance from all the Man United players. But he's turned it around from the first 2 games. But I don't think it's plain sailing from now after that. I think there's going to be a lot of peaks and troughs in Man United's season because he's got a lot of egos to manage there, and I don't think that's easy to do that. So there's going to be nice times, but there's also going to be down times as well for United until he gets his point across and gets all the players on side for what he wants them doing.
I mean, speaking of egos, when you was at Man U, you were such a fantastic team player. You were part of that famous attacking quartet where the 4 strikers were rotated often. There were no complaints, at least not what we heard at the time, and might have been in the dressing room. What do you see now, or what do you think now when you see Ronaldo, for example? He wants to play, but he can't play every week. You were rotating regularly at Man U. What are your thoughts on Ronaldo's situation?
Thanks for the comparison between myself and Ronaldo, but I don't think it goes that far. It's very different for Ronaldo. He's always been the top star man of any team that he's played in. So to find himself in a position there, well, I'm not sure that he doesn't fit in at the moment, but he obviously wanted to leave at the start of the season. So that puts the manager in a funny position straight away. That hasn't happened, and he's still at the club. So you've got to try and work with that. This is what I'm saying in such a job that Ten Hag has got. It's a tough job to manage these players. But it seems like he's back on board again now. He knows he's not going to be leaving till at least just after Christmas when the next transfer window opens. But it's a tough job he's got. But
would you keep him?
No, I would have let him go. If he's not happy, I would have. However good he is, I would have let him go. I would have made sure I got a replacement beforehand. But I definitely would have let him go because an unhappy superstar in your camp is not a nice place to be in.
Yeah. And what about England? Your old mate, your old Euro 96 teammate, Gareth Southgate, coming in for a little bit of flack. There's been this ongoing conversation now for a couple of years. They're not adventurous enough. They're not creative enough. You were a fantastic creative player yourself, often given freedom under Terry Venables. What's your thought on the way England are playing right now?
I've got to be honest, I didn't see the game, last game. I think they're playing tonight as well. I'm not too concerned. Germany have always had this understanding that they try things before tournaments and end up getting to semi-finals and finals every time they appear. So I'm not too concerned. Gareth's made the semi-final and the final in the last 2 competitions, and he can't be doing things too bad, can he, if he's doing that? So let him explore what he's got for his options. And let's judge him on his tournament football. Hopefully, there will be a little bit more flair in the team. I understand the criticism, but Gareth is a very cautious man. He was a defender as a player, so he's going to be his type of style. But it's got results in the last 6 years, so let's give him a bit of time.
Coming back to the Premier League, I think. Do you think there's going to be another one-horse race this season, or do you think even Spurs or Man U or even Arsenal could push Man City that far?
I think if you're asking me, Manchester City are going to win the league again. I think they're that dominant. I know it got a little bit tight at the end of last season. That was great for the Premier League, but they're just so consistent in the way they play the game, and I think they take the ball to the opposition, and they work their defence in the way no other team does. And you've got to take your hat off and applaud that. And I certainly enjoy watching Manchester City. I think they're the best team in the country at the moment, and I'm glad they're proving it because of the way they play. And I hope they keep on proving it, to be honest.
Yeah. Teddy, you were such an intelligent player. You played right on the shoulder of the last defender. You timed your runs, you timed your through balls. What are your thoughts on the VAR situation this season, which does seem to be penalising the smart attacking player?
Well, I'd be infuriated by it myself. If there's the excitement in football is all about the passion of scoring a goal and celebrating a goal. To think that you have to wait, to think that there might have been some sort of penalisation 30 seconds before that, maybe even longer than that they're rolling back the cameras and saying, well, he got tripped on the halfway line. But for me, football is all about scoring goals and going nuts and celebrating that moment, because it really is a thrilling moment, and it doesn't seem like you can have that now. Yep. That's my first criticism. I like the goal line technology, no problem with that, but for me the VAR has just put the perspective not on the referee but at someone else's ideas of whether it was offside or whether it was a foul or whatever. It's just taken away from the referee at the moment. Yeah. That's all it is.
Yeah. Well, we open up questions to our Yahoo readers, and this question came in, which is quite interesting. What were your thoughts during the last minute of the Champions League final? You were trailing 1-0 to Bayern Munich. What were your thoughts during that corner?
My thoughts were, we need to score quickly, otherwise we're going to be out of this competition. Same as everyone else in the team, in the whole stadium. We knew we had to score, but that was Manchester United at the time. We just kept plugging away, kept trying our best, kept digging deep, and going into overdrive to try and get back into the game. And lucky for us, there was 3 minutes of injury time, and we got back in the game.
When the ball came in from Beckham, how were the first reactions like? It's a good ball
for the winner.
For your equaliser.
Well, you try and get on the end of it, but it went to the far post and then went back in. Effenberg tried to clear it, and then when Giggsy had the shot, it just came rolling past me, and I thought,
stick our leg.
Yippee! Here we go.
Wonderful.
Well, you keep coming back to Singapore. It's almost your second home. World sports legends there often bring you back for these
football legends.
Well, football legends often bring you back for these wonderful events. Why is it important for legends like yourself to constantly reconnect with Singaporean fans, Asian fans in the region?
It's lovely to come out to lots of places in Asia. I mean, there's so many Manchester United and Liverpool fans, and I'm sure there's Arsenal, Tottenham, Chelsea, Man City as well.
And West Ham.
All over the place, and the West Ham, and Millwall fans here and there. I'll tell you that they pop up every now and again as well. It's great to see people, they're great memories of watching games and talking about past glories. It's a lovely place to come. Singapore especially. I love the climate, love the people here. I love the golf courses. So I'm quite at home here. So you'll see me again, I'm sure.
Brilliant. Well, we'll wrap it up. We put the question out to our listeners and viewers. They wanted to finish off with a quick fire round, just 1 or 2 word answers. We'll just rattle them off. Here we go. Best strike partner you ever played with?
Klinsmann or Shearer.
Great choice. Best teammate to play with in any position?
Darren Anderton.
Toughest defender to play against?
Cannavaro.
Wow. Best manager?
Terry Venables.
Favourite home ground?
Probably White Hart Lane.
Worst away ground?
I could go back into the real early stages of my career. Want me to?
Go on then.
Lincoln away.
Wow. Lincoln away. You heard it here first. Favourite meal before a match?
Scrambled egg and beans on toast.
Nice one. Favourite music before a match?
Probably a bit of Rod Stewart or something on the way to a game.
That's caught me off. Funniest player in the dressing room?
Gaza.
And your best, I kind of know this, best moment in football?
Football's all about winning things, isn't it? And you don't get better than the Champions League final in 1999.
Well, last point, a Singaporean listener did ask, which was your most memorable goal to finish on? Was it the goal in the Champions League final or your last career goal with Colchester?
Great question.
So,
full stop.
There you go. Great question. Well, thanks, Teddy. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thanks for coming on the Yahoo Footballing Weekly podcast.
Cheers. Thank you.
Well, that was our chat with Teddy Sheringham. Good guy, Keong.
Yeah, I think he's forthright with his views. He's not afraid to go against fan sentiments. Like when he said that some of the Spurs fans didn't like Antonio Conte because they're not that attacking style. But he knows that the value of Conte. Same thing with Manchester United when he said that their early season now they're in a bit of good form, but they'll be patching up and down, going up and down for the season. I think it's quite insightful.
Yeah, but the standout point that he made was that, in his opinion, Ronaldo said he believes that Ronaldo should have left Manchester United, and I concur with that because in my new column out now on all Yahoo platforms, I said exactly the same thing.
Yep.
Along with poor old Harry Maguire, who's not doing too well at the moment. Oh. Just a final shout out to Teddy Sheringham. I just want to say this. When we interviewed him, it was at the end of a very, very long day for Teddy. He didn't have to do the interview. I'm not even sure he knew about the interview until the end, but he was a great sport. Big thanks to Ian at World Football
Legend. You keep messing up World Sports Legend.
World Football Legends for organising the interview. Thanks, Ian. But I just want to say I've met hundreds of footballers, past, present, and they're not always as nice as Teddy, but Teddy was great.
Absolutely professional.
And I always think you see the best of a footballer or a professional when the cameras are off, when they're not in the spotlight. And the way he interacted with those young kids, the Singaporean kids, fantastic.
Shaking their hands. All their kids shaking their hands throughout,
Brilliant.
Their hands throughout,
So thanks for that, Teddy, and thanks, Ian, at World Football Legends for organising. Right, speaking of legends, let's move on. English Premier League. What have we got this week, my friend?
Okay, let's start with previews. This weekend, lots of good matches. Lots of derbies ever. Arsenal versus Spurs, North London derby.
Yep.
Manchester derby, Manchester City versus Manchester United.
Yep.
2 great matches.
Let's start with the North London derby. That is so important to me, that one, because this will show if we're going to have a title race for me. Because we spoke to Teddy about this and he said, of course, Manchester City's going to win the title. I don't think anyone would dispute that. All we would hope at this stage is it's a little bit protracted and it's not over by Christmas, and we'll have a much clearer idea of how genuine the North London credentials are, title credentials, after the derby.
And I kind of think that Spurs have the edge, even though they're playing at Emirates. I think that the team is far more ahead in its development than Arsenal. Obviously, Arsenal are still leaders, EPL leaders. They are 6 wins and 1 defeat. Great result. But I think they're still a bit brittle.
They're too young.
Yeah, a bit too young.
What Arteta is doing is fabulous, Arsenal, with the young players of Saka and Vieira and Odegaard, the captain. I always get his name wrong. I always get him mixed up with Odin's son, Thor. He's got a lot of young boys in that side. He brought on the kid who was 15.
It's a great start. I think
it's a great start, but I think they're a year, maybe 2 behind Tottenham. Tottenham, Harry Kane is peaking.
Son Heung-min's just regained his scoring.
Hugo Lloris seems to have got his form back.
And Kulusevski is a great purchase. Great purchase. It's just added the X factor to their attack. And now the defense is a bit more solid because Antonio Conte being an Italian. Not necessarily I'm stereotyping. He knows his defense.
Of course. And let's get on to the Manchester derby that United are going to lose. And
actually, now you said that, I'm a Liverpool fan.
You never know.
I'm really hoping Manchester United do the whole league a favour and at least hold City to a draw or even snatch a win. Just to prolong that inevitability of City getting the title.
I agree. How does the league benefit at this point from Manchester City, for argument's sake, smashing Manchester United 5-0 with Haaland the Viking scoring 4?
Which is very likely.
Which is possible, pillaging his way to another 3-4 goals. It'll be a fun spectacle. It'll be an entertaining thing to watch. But how does it really help the league when this, let's be frank, city-state funded team, which is way ahead of anybody else financially, with a possible exception of Newcastle United, but in terms of pure finances, how is that a cause for celebration if they smash Man United, take a huge lead in the title race? We want a good game. We want a close game. I'd be quite happy for Man U to win, draw, whatever, but let's keep it competitive before October, please. What do you think?
Obviously, I agree with you. I mean, in all likelihood, Man City will win. But, in neutral fans' view, come on, just drag it out. I mean, at least show that you have some fight against Man City. You know, I mean, Liverpool have shown that somewhere you can sort of contain them. You can try to. You obviously have to play at your very best.
Yeah,
and that's the thing. I'm not sure whether Man United can, under Eric Ten Hag, they are able to devise a plan that they can contain the Man City.
But here's the thing about Man City. It reminds me of Man U in the 90s when I found them really, really annoying. But I loved Eric Cantona, and I still do. I'm developing a similar crush with Haaland.
Yeah.
How can you not love this beast? He is awesome. A phenomenon. He is a brutish, sort of meat-eating Viking warrior, and he's impossible to dislike. I love his attitude.
I'm telling you something. Even my mother, who doesn't watch it, who only follows me and watches EPL, and they said, "Who's that tall guy at Man City? He's just so tall.
He's like someone that's fallen from a spaceship and just landed on the pitch. When he scores, he's like, "Oh, get away! It's my job. Don't make a big deal out of it. Yeah, I scored a volley. It's my job. It's what I'm paid for. Move on. Job done. Move on."
Yeah.
He's so laid back. He has such a driven attitude. He's such a good teammate by all accounts. Yeah. He's such a freakish being.
Yeah.
And you have to say, it's been a long, long time, arguably since Cristiano Ronaldo, when the EPL can say they truly had a world-class player with his peak still to come. They've had players near the end, but
just
they never had Messi, they never had Ronaldo at his peak, they lost him. You can go through the other players over the years, the Spanish, the Italians, Iniesta, Xavi, all these guys. They never had those players. Right. Zidane, and keep going. But this guy is going to be the greatest footballer on the planet very, very soon. And I have to say, I love watching him. I love it.
First thing, it's a shame that he plays for Norway, which is not in the World Cup.
Yeah.
Second thing, it's a shame that his father, Alf Inge Haaland, plays for Manchester City, thereby consigning him to being a Manchester City fan for life.
Yep.
And he's not going to be bothered about signing on to other Premier League clubs. And that, I mean, obviously, Manchester City, okay, there are fans around, but they're not really the most popular club around. So it's a bit sad.
It's also not a good thing that when my wife was walking past the TV the other day, she said, "Oh, who's that?" So she's like your mother. So like I don't feel inadequate enough. I'm supposed to compete with this freakish being from Scandinavia. No, he's great. I tell you what, in a season that's going to look quite one-sided, at least when you watch Man City, there's something about him. He's got that comic book, Roy of the Rovers. You can't take your eyes off him. He's completely captivating. I think it'll be a great game. All right, let's bring it back to local now. I know we wanted to say a word or two about quite sad news in the local football scene, Football Association of Singapore.
Yeah, and it's not about Lions not doing well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously, if you've been following, you know that the Football Association president, Lim Kiao Tong, unfortunately died of a sudden heart attack on the 14th of September. So our condolences to his family. But I mean, what is your recollection of him? Yeah,
nothing but a decent, and I'm being truthful now, a decent, humble guy. He took me to lunch one time, not far from here, and he wanted to lay out his plans. And he knew I'd been quite critical of the FAS, but I try not to be, because I've said this before. Firstly, it gets boring. Secondly, it gets repetitive. And C, you reach a point where you just want to look for something positive. But he understood. If the Lions hadn't been playing well, you can't say anything but they haven't been playing well. But he wanted to sit down, have a conversation about what he hoped to do, what he hoped to achieve moving forward. But I just found him a very nice, likeable, kind man. And we went to the book launch recently, the last time we saw him, I think. Uncle Raju's book launch for Goal.
Raw.
And even then, we heard stories about, Mr. Lim taking fans to football matches, arranging their transport. Just a decent guy who remembered his community.
He didn't have to support that book. The book is but he supported Uncle Raju all the way. So it's fair play. Okay, for me, I have to make a small admission. I mean, among the sports journalist circle, we kind of find him a bit of a drag when he was the president. Firstly, he's a very wooden character in front of the TV, and he gives speeches that will drive you to sleep most of the time. He's not a good speaker. he's not a media darling. He won't give you excellent quotes. He's a very straight-laced, stoic person. And so whenever we have to do interviews, and he knows it. To be fair, he knows it himself. So he rather let his deputy Bernard Tan, who is far more eloquent, to do it, to do most of the talking. But like you say, we can see that he still respects our job, respects our professions, and when we every time we speak to him, he treats us as an equal, and he always seeks for our views, and that's and he doesn't look down upon anybody. I don't see anything. So I think yes, like I said, very decent human being. And it's a loss to the football community that we've lost such a decent person. And I really hope that the next president I can follow in his footsteps. Yeah.
Well, that's the legacy. I mean, condolences to his family, but also remember the man gave 30 years to the local game. Not many people can say that. You and I indirectly have given 20 years each, but the guy gave 30 years to the local sport. He didn't have to do it, but he did it. Loyal, dedicated service to Singaporean football for 30 years, and all we can do is thank him and all the best to his family.
Yeah, all the best to his family.
And let's wrap it up, Keong, with something a little bit lighter to finish off. I know you're a big gamer. FIFA 23. Tell us what's happening.
Okay. FIFA 23. We're going to bring in a very special character into his game, and
Harry Maguire.
Close to him. Looks a bit.
He plays as well as him.
Yeah, plays as well as him. It's manager Ted Lasso. If you don't know him, he's in this wonderful TV series, which is probably one of the best thing on TV right now. On
Apple.
Yeah, on Apple. Ted Lasso, and he is going to be a playable manager character in the
and
FIFA 23.
are they going to have the actual team?
Yes, AFC Richmond.
With Roy, whatever his name is.
The Roy Keane character.
The Roy Keane character,
awesome. It is awesome.
What scares me, that the Ted Lasso team, AFC Richmond, could actually be better than England.
Oh.
So defensively, they might be more solid than England, because at the time of this being recorded, England are all over the shop. All over the shop, my friend. Yeah. So, good stuff. Ted Lasso on FIFA 23.
I hope they make him say this line. The harder you work, the luckier you get.
That's the Ted Lasso, man. It's a bit like us on this podcast. So let us know what you think. Are you going to play Ted Lasso on FIFA 23?
I am going to, man.
Who do you think is going to win the Manchester derby? Are you in love with Haaland like I am and my wife is, and his mother?
What are your memories of Lim Kia Tong?
Yes, and please do send us your warm and kind memories, obviously, of Mr. Lim Kia Tong. And send all of your thoughts, comments and opinions to
our YouTube channel at Yahoo Southeast Asia, our Twitter channels Yahoo SG or Yahoo _MY, or our TikTok channel Yahoo SEA.
He's almost got it. He's almost got it.
I got it, man.
Well done. Thank you so much for watching us this week. I'm off to go and join AFC Richmond. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next week.
See ya.
Go Ted Lasso.
Go.